Alright, now we've got the upper eyelid, the lower eyelid, and the whole orbit of the eye. The structural planes kind of established. Looks a little evil, which might be what we end up going for. Those lips look large. Right now, what I don't want you to do is start analyzing male, female. Does it look like my character? Does it not look like my character? You can do that if you're, at that stage and you want to be worrying about those things right now. I'm not worrying about it right now. It's very far from my mind, and I'm just noticing that it's wrong. That's not what I'm going for. But that's it. Otherwise, my primary concern is that I have the structural elements in place. And so those structural elements, once you've got them there, they're actually quite simple. So I'm just going to go over them another time. We've talked about the inside, the outside of the eyelid. We're talking about that the eyelid there. Let's get this guy along the top. Okay, then we've got our other portion for the eyelids here. Let's see. Let me rephrase that. So we've got our eyelids positioned. We've got the architectural units in place, the up planes, the down planes, those things. Now what we need to do is make sure that we have these correctly related to the planes around the face. So let's come all the way around. And I'm getting the area where the plane changes direction. And then here's the front plane, or the outer plane. Pull that. Okay, so you can see it's quite simple. We really just have two sets of spheres. We've got this outer plane, which is facing outwards. We have that mirrored on the inside. So again, we have this plane facing downwards and outwards that's mirrored on the inside, facing downwards and outwards. And a plane facing towards the top, and that's mirrored here, facing towards the top. Now that's going to get some play as you put the skin in there, the fat, and all of that, but this is a nice structural beginning for us to keep everything in play and in alignment. One of the things that we miss almost all the time, especially in the beginning, is the space between the eye and the side of the face. I know I missed it for a very long time. And some of those sculpts are still out there on the web, circulating and reminding me of the horribleness of them. Boom, boom. Yes, okay. All right. So what I'm trying to point out right there with that drawing, look at the space between the corner of the eye and the side of the face. That's not even the side of the face, that's the side of the brow. Then look at the distance from the side of the face. That's quite a bit longer. And then you throw an ear in there, and you're potentially talking about more, depending on that ear itself. Flat to the head, things like that. Anyways, that's a great bit of difference that we're talking about. And a lot of the times our tendency is to put the eye right there up to the edge. But that's why we're creating the eyeball at a set measurement, 24 centimeters, or 24 millimeters. And if we do anything, we'll adjust the orbit of the eye and we'll push it inwards. It is highly unlikely in any of the critiques that I will ask you to push it outwards. Highly unlikely. Our general tendency is to do the exact opposite. So just make sure you've got that space in between and that it's clearly labeled or clearly a flat plane facing straight ahead with a side plane facing the opposite direction. All right, now we can come in and start to add a little bit of fat to this if we want to. If you do, though, I highly recommend that you extract it and treat it as a separate beast. So I'm going to extract a little bit of extra fat and tissue underneath the eye, and I'm going to keep it as simple as that. Make sure you don't have any of that upper lid selected. It will not extract well. I'm going to give it a slight yellowish hue. Make sure you clear the mask. And I like to just have it abut the glabella. So it just straight in. Nothing fancy about it. Let's get that penetrating a little bit. And you can see it's going to change our upper eyelid depending on how much we're going to have there, but it's just a nice little thing to throw in and keep around. Make sure it wraps around that eye though. Okay, last thing that we'll do for our adjustments, make absolutely certain that our caruncula is in place. So we have our eyelids. Make sure that the caruncula, nice little square, is in place there. So I'm going to use a standard brush just to cut in a little notch, and then to build up the square around it. Go up my subdivision level. And you can let that kind of blend forward slightly. But now you want to look at your reference and make sure that this is shaped the way that you want. It can be quite small. All right, and there we go. We've got the essential anatomy intact for us. And the next part, which is kind of fun, is to see what this is going to look like if we add all of the skin to it and then fill in a few areas for just to make it a little bit more human.